Welcome back to my little creative corner of the internet. Today I try to tackle the 2021 Inktober challenge in a day. I wanted to do the Inktober challenge for quite a while now, but October is always such a busy month with the beginning of a new art school year. I was never able to. So I wanted to try and complete the challenge in a day this time. While I draw, I thought it would be interesting to talk about the art advice I don't follow. Some advice I always see on the internet for beginners, or some tips and advice my professors at art school gave me that I didn't include in my work either. First, for the Inktober drawings, I will try to complete 5 drawings, one for each week of October in this video. And with my attempt at doing it in a day, I did go against the first advice I see everywhere all the time, and that is to draw every day. I always get tempted by the idea of drawing every day, and I understand the concept of trying to establish a routine to improve your art by spending time creating every day. But for me, I always feel very burnt out after a short while when I try to draw every day. For me, it works more in phases. There are weeks where I don't touch my sketchbook at all, and then there are days where I will be drawing all day, like today with the challenge. And over the years I learned to embrace these different creative phases and not beat myself up if I don't draw every day. The next advice I don't follow goes hand in hand with the motivation and inspiration theme, and it's about sketchbooks. You always hear everywhere that you shouldn't care how your sketchbook looks, and I know where this is coming from. And it might be different for everybody, but I like my sketchbooks to be visual pleasing. Don't get me wrong, not every page has to be picture perfect and could be up on Instagram. But I myself lose interest in working in my sketchbook if it gets too messy, and I try to go back and rework some pages or add to them later to keep myself visually interested in the sketchbook. So I care a lot about how my sketchbook looks, but in the end you have to find what works best for you. And definitely don't compare yourself to other artists or their sketchbooks too much. Get inspiration? Yes. Put yourself down because you like the art of somebody else more? No. With this, we have to remember 2 things. First, you never know exactly where in her or his art journey the other artist might be, and you could end up comparing your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 10 and get discouraged. And with this, we're right in the middle of the next advice I don't follow. Because even though I just said to not compare yourself to other artists, I always drew. I try to use it as inspiration and to improve my art, but I also have days where it does bring me down a bit. I just try to keep in mind that you're not competing with other artists. Only try to compete with yourself from the past. Get better day by day. The next advice I don't follow is again a sketchbook-related one. And that is to only stay in one sketchbook at a time to keep track of your process. I like tracking my process, yes, but as I already explained, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to my sketchbooks. That's why I most of the time have 2 going at the same time, that I can switch between one and the other every time I get bored or I don't like the book because I hate the last page I did or something. The next advice I don't follow is one I got in art school all the time, and that is to draw on an easel or have your drawing surface vertical in a way to minimize the warping of the drawing, to minimize the visually missed shape of your drawing. and not have it visually contorted so that the moment you lift it up, the proportions are off. But for one, I mostly work in a sketchbook. This is a bit hard to prop up, as well as filming my art process for YouTube is way easier with a top-down view than trying to film an over-the-shoulder shot. The only time I do follow this advice is if I use a very large drawing surface, which is hardly ever these days. Then I would also follow the next art advice I abandon on a regular basis, and that is to hold the drawing tool at the end and make flowing movements from your shoulder instead of your wrist. When I work on large size and an easel, I think this is a really good art advice to follow. But when I work on a smaller sized piece in my sketchbook, I feel like having more control over my brush or pencil if I work from the wrist and place my hand near the tip of the drawing tool, even though my lines get a little bit stiffer this way. So if you want to get more flowy lines and you have some time to get used to it, try holding your pen at the end and do your movements from your shoulder. The final art advice I don't follow is to draw from life instead of photos. I do understand where this advice is coming from as well. You do learn way more if you can look at your subject from more than one angle, but it can also make the process more complicated, as you can't have everything you want to draw near you when you draw it. Like the moon, the raven or the crystal mushroom I did draw for this Inktober challenge. The challenge made me realize that I really like the ink drawings and the way the pure black and white line drawings made my work look. And I will definitely try to do some more of the Inktober prompts throughout the next weeks, even though October ends tomorrow. And maybe even try to do the whole full Inktober challenge with one drawing a day next year. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and the little artist talk. If you did, a thumbs up would make me really happy. And I would love to hear from you in the comment down below to let me know if you enjoyed this kind of content. If you want to join me on my creative journey, hit the subscribe button down below.